Hello and welcome to my channel. Hi, I'm Wendy J. Haney. Today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little basket. Yep, it's not very big. It's a nice holiday basket. Probably should have done it last month so you had more time before Christmas, but really wanted to show you that maple leaf block. So this is what we've got. I actually had the inside rolled down because I really liked see if we can get that to focus better. I really liked the the inside stripe folded down. This basket is very cute. It can be used as a gift basket. It also fits, this size fits nicely. Kleenex, makes it nice holiday. Set that there. Yeah, at our house, yeah, allergies, everything else, seasonal, winter, Kleenex around the house. So that makes it looks very festive and nice. Or I usually give a batch of sugar or Christmas cookies out over the holidays. So I could put tissue paper in here, cellophane wrap, and put cookies in here and give them a nice little basket also. Or for those of you that know me, oh, let's see. This is called thread count wine. Look at there. A bold quilt red wine. So you could give somebody a nice basket with your wine in there and maybe a dish towel or something happy for the holidays. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make this. And I know you're looking at this tree here and going, uh-oh, that looks like paper piecing. Nope, did the math for you, super easy. Now, with that said, this area here is a 5.5 inch unfinished block. Therefore, if you have a small panel piece or some nice novelty fabric that has a nice design in it that you want to cut out, you can do this really fast by cutting out a 5.5 inch design, panel piece, whatever you want, and replace this tree block with your panel piece. And I should have checked the size. Yeah, the size of our block, or our, the size of our little basket here is about 5 by 6 by 5. So it's just kind of a nice size. Okay, let's get this figured out how to do it. And by the way, I got this design and this information from the McCall's, I'm guessing it's the McCall's American Patchwork and Quilting magazine from November, December 2023. And Abigail Dollinger was the designer and creator of this. So thank you, Abigail. Okay, we're gonna take this and get started. So what do you need? For the tree in the middle, you need a 4 by 4.75, so 4 3/4 of an inch by a 4 inch square. Okay, it's not a square, rectangle of your green for your tree. Your trunk is a 1.5 inch square, and then whatever you choose for your background, you need 2 1.5 by 2 inch rectangles and 2 2 3 by 6 inch pieces of your background. Okay, so there is your tree block if you decide you're going to follow along and make the tree block on this little basket. Then for the basket itself on the outside, you're going to need a 7.5 by 10.5 inch piece, just one. 2 7.5 by 3, 2 5.5 by 3, and a 5.5 by 2.5 inch. And so this is all for the outside of your basket. If you wanted to have your, I have seen this where some people have taken and done a different color fabric on the back than they did for the sides and bottom, then in that case, you could do a different color of the larger piece. Your bottom would stay the same piece, but your backing could be a different. I'm keeping this simple, so I'm using one color for everything. Okay? Now, on your inside, you need 2 pieces of 7 by 10.5. And then for the top lining, 2 pieces, 3 3/4 by 10.5. In this case, I picked a stripe and I cut it on an angle so that we had this nice little look of the roll, kind of an angled roll when I roll it over. I really like that. Totally up to you if you want to use a stripe and go straight or not, or use something else. Yeah, you do you. Okay, with that said, I'm going to tell you right now, when I made my first one and I got done, I felt the inside was really, really baggy. Like, wow, somebody did the math wrong. There's too much in the bottom. Not a big deal because you're going to put stuff in it. It's just, yeah, it's not a big deal, but sometimes I get anal. And so I cut mine slightly smaller this time. I'm not going to tell you what size I cut them. So right now, you go ahead with the 7 by 10.5. When I get to the end, based on what I'm doing, if I find that this was a good fit, I will have my husband, Kevin, edit the video and tell you what size I actually used with this. And usually I like to figure this all out, so I'm not doing this, figuring it out as I go, but it's a busy season, got vacation coming up, visitors, and I need to get this video done. So I don't have time to do another sample with a smaller inside fabric. So we'll see at the end what I think. Okay, and with that, I think we're ready to go and get the tree block made. Well, if you watched my maple leaf block last month, you'll know that I'm doing some math for you to allow you to do something that's close to paper piecing preciseness without paper piecing. So that's kind of what we're doing with the tree today. Okay, you've got your 4-inch by 4.75 inch rectangle of your green. And right now I have it flipped upside down because we're going to mark on it. So 2 inches across, 4.75 down. Each of your corners here, use your ruler, and you want to go 1/2 inch in, 1/2 inch in, 1/2 inch up. So just put a dot there and do the same on the other side. Okay, marking with the dot, make sure you can see it. On the top, you want to go to the center, which is 2 inches, and then you want to go down 1/4 inch and put a dot there. Now, you can do this 2 ways. Either draw a line between those, so I just connected my dots. I'm going to connect the dot over here. And then what we want to do is we want to cut 1/4 inch away from that line. Now, if you don't want to mark and you're really good at getting that dot under the 1/4 inch line and connect it with the dot down here at 1/4 inch and just cut, you don't need to draw a line. But sometimes it just works this way. So now I'm going to put my ruler, the 1/4 inch mark of my ruler, on my line, because now it's really easy for me to see it, and I'm going to trim off that fabric. I'm going to do the same over here. There we go. Toss those in my scrap bin. And now we've got our tree. Take your 2 pieces of your tree background fabric. I've got this nice little pretty snowflake design. And we're going to, I find it easier to put my tree on top and kind of center this so it's towards the top with a little bit overlap at the top so that you've got enough at the bottom here so that when this opens, when this opens up like this, you're going to want enough so that you can cut this off and trim this because we're going to square this all up. So don't put too much up here, but just enough. In fact, I think if you just put the other edge of your tree block, the other corner there, right up to the edge, you will be just fine. So we're going to do that. I'm going to go stitch that, and then I'm going to press it towards the tree instead of the inside. I'm going to press towards the tree so that we don't have bulk up here when we add this next piece. So you can see I have that stitched on and I've pressed it towards the background. And I know that is my lighter fabric, but it will prevent bulk on the top. So now I take my tree and this time I put it on top of the other. And once again, keep it closer to the top. And I do believe I might have goofed and cut on my line. No, I didn't. Sorry. When I stitched this one, I stitched on my 1/4 inch line. And now I came back and I'm like, I don't have a 1/4 inch line. Oh gosh, did I cut on the line instead of a 1/4 inch away? No, I used a marking pen that disappears when I iron it. And so I just ironed it off. Sorry. Oh crap moment. Okay, sorry. Back to putting this on here. So we're gonna put that on there just like we did before. Stitch a 1/4 inch. Sorry, you don't have a line to stitch on if you used your friction pen that disappears with ironing. And then once again, we're going to press to the towards the background fabric. And now we have our tree. And no, it's not square. Just like paper PC, we need to do some trimming up. Okay, this is going to be 5.5 inches wide by 4.5 inches tall. Okay, so that means your center, your point there, needs to be a 1/4 inch down from the top where we're going to trim it, and the middle. So half of 5.5 inches is 2.75. Okay, so what I do before I get that positioned is I get my ruler down here at the bottom, because this bottom of my tree is kind of the straight line of the block to use it as a basis. So I kind of put my ruler down there and go, okay, yeah, let make sure my lines are horizontal correctly. Then I slide my ruler up and I get the point of that tree at 2.75 over and a 1/4 inch down. There we go. And you do not have a lot of wiggle room on the side, but you have some. If you struggle with this and you feel like you don't have enough width, then make these pieces of fabric a tad wider. What did I have you do? I had you, whoops, of course I moved that piece of paper over here. We cut those 3 inches wide. So maybe you want to give yourself a little more wiggle room and go 3 1/4, 3 1/2. So play with it. But I found that this gives me what I need with a little wiggle room. And then I try and make sure once again that I'm still fairly straight across the bottom. In this case, I am actually at the 4 3/4 inch mark exactly on the bottom, which would make sense given this green block was originally 4.75 tall. Okay, so I'm going to position that. Make sure I have plenty of room to cut all the way around. So I'm going to trim. Be careful with this little bump here with your rotary cutter. It's a little thick, so you're going to want to be careful when you cut over it. Now you should be able to just put your 5.5 inch line on your ruler to your left, your 4.5 inch over here at the bottom, and everything else should line up perfectly. You shouldn't have to measure anything else. And trim it up. And there we go. Now you have a 5.5 by 4.5 inch tall tree. Now we need to add the tree trunk. Okay, easy peasy here. You've got your tree trunk 1.5 inch. You got your two side pieces 1.5 inch. So simple, simple. Sew these 3 pieces together with a 1/4 inch seam. And I went ahead and made the next step after we had our row done with the trunk. You attach it to your tree. And my apologies. I had the size wrong for these 2 small rectangles for the background fabric, and Kevin will have already corrected it through the video with asterisks indicated correction to what I was telling you. These are 2.5 by 1.5 inch. There's 2 of these, 2.5 by 1.5. Obviously, when I made the last one, I didn't write it down right for my information to do it again. It will be right in the template. And that's the other thing in the description. Actually, eventually in the description, there will be a link to be able to go out to a website and download the template. For now, send me an email and I will send you out the template for the holiday basket. Okay, this is now a 5.5 inch square. We're going to set that aside. No, we're not. No, we're not. Wow, I am on a roll this Saturday. What you're going to do is take 2 of your rectangles, the 5.5 by 2.5 and your 5.5 by 3. The larger rectangle goes on the bottom and the smaller one goes on the top. So we're going to just put these right sides together and stitch a 1/4 inch. Okay? In order to make this go along a little faster for both me and Mr. Kevin, my editor, we're going to pretend that's done. Okay? Then, once you have those, go ahead and press them, and I would press to your body fabric, for lack of better words, your basket background fabric body. Press towards that to eliminate the bulk there. Okay? Then you're going to take your longer rectangles, your 3 by 7.5, you're going to have 2 of those, and you're going to put them here. Yes, this is correct. You're going to match them to the top of the basket piece, this here. So it's going to look like this when you're done. I know you're going to end up with these empty corners and this hanging off at the bottom. This is the bottom of your basket. And so once we get to putting things together, we're going to do this fun thing where we squish up your corners and stitch diagonally to get a flat bottom on your basket. Okay, so these on here, press those, these right sides together, and press those. Once again, I would press them to the outside. Let's go do that. And there we have it. this is the front of your basket with the bottom, at least the bottom front. Now we need to do the back. In that case, you're going to take your other 7.5 by, I should really measure these, 7, oh, I'm so sorry. Your 7.5 by 10.5 inch piece of fabric, your larger piece there, and your little 3 by 5.5. And you're going to put it here. It's going to end up looking just like this. Now, in order to get this right, you're going to need to fold this in half. And actually, I do it this way. So I get a nice little bump there. And you're going to just fold it in half and do a mark. Okay, I just creased it. Then this one, I'm going to do this way. And fold it, mark it, and then I'm going to just put one crease on top of the other crease, and we're going to stitch a 1/4 inch. And because of the way we're doing these things, I would recommend you back stitch on both ends. And over here on this one, I did back stitch at the bottom of both of these because we're going to do some things with it, and it prevents it from pulling out. So go get that done. Then what we're going to do is once you have that, doesn't matter which direction you press it, you're going to come back and it's going to look like this. Then you're going to sew your 2 halves together. Okay, we're almost done with the outside. And there we go. The outside of the basket is done. Yep. Now is time to quilt it. And you quilt it with only the batting on the back. So I have cut a piece of batting. I'm just using a lightweight cotton. Whatever you have. Don't need anything too thick. And I think this works much better than a more fuzzy kind, like like this. I think this would be very hard for you to quilt with, given the fact that you're going to just have the batting at the bottom while you're quilting. So this I love this weight for when I want fluffy quilts and things, so I have this. Now, you just need to do a quilt design all over, stitch in the ditch, whatever trips your trigger. Now, I am not a pro expert, very good at, and I don't do it, quilting on my domestic machine. Yep, I don't, because I have a long arm and other ways, and so I don't. But if that's what you have, then hopefully you've done this before. You could put tissue paper underneath there to help it slide better on your domestic machine. So quilt it as you'd like. I am going to do this on my embroidery machine. And as much as it would be really nice to have a hoop that can do the whole thing at once, my largest hoop hits right about here. It doesn't quite fit. So what I do is I do it in 2 pieces. I have, what is this? A 10 5/8 inch square hoop. Okay, we'll just set that up there. So what I will do is I will probably get out a sticky stabilizer and hoop it. And then I will put the batting on the sticky side and then put this on top. I will use some tearaway tape to secure this, and then I will figure out a design that I think what I did on the other one is just some, has it got holly? Oh yeah, it's kind of got holly berries and holly leaves, and I figure out the size just to get it kind of to the edge here and around the outside. And if you've ever quilted before, you know it's completely fine to go outside of your fabric because once we sew your 1/4 inch seam, it's going to tack that all down, even though we're going to trim things up. And so I'm going to end up with quilting over here in the corner and around the edges. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that, then I'll take it out of my hoop, I will flip it around, and I will quilt the other half. So essence, I'm quilting the bottom and the side, the back first, and then the front. Okay, so go quilt it as you'd like. And then we'll work on getting the lining done and putting the pieces together. So we're really getting pretty close. I now have my outside component all quilted using the embroidery machine. And then what I did was, before I trimmed it up, I did stitch 1/8 of an inch or so around the entire side, and then I trimmed it all up. And in here, I actually used scissors. I didn't use my good shears because I did have a sticky stabilizer on here, and I don't want to gum up my good shears. So I have another pair of scissors for that purposes. Okay, now what we're going to do is take this and put right sides together. And yes, anytime you quilt something, your sizes might have shifted a little, so just even it out here. And in this case, we are going to stitch only the sides. Do not touch the top, do not touch the bottom corners here, just the sides. And in this case, because of us doing some other things, I am going to backstitch both the top and the bottom so that nothing pulls out as I start doing other things. Okay, we're going to do that, and then we're going to show you how to get your corners handled. Okay, we now have our sides stitched up. Now, to do our corners, we're going to open it up. I'm going to open it up like this. And we're going to make a mouth. Okay, sorry, couldn't help it. You're going to match the center, and yeah, it just folds up very, very nicely. And then I usually do pin it because it has a tendency to shift. Or if you've got little clips you like to use, that actually might work really well. So you press that like that, and you stitch 1/4 of an inch. You do the other one as well. It just matches up very nicely. You know, I am going to grab this instead. It's gotten a little thick with that stabilizer still on here and the batting and fabric. So we're going to just use our little clips. Okay, stitch 1/4 of an inch on both of these, and then we have the outside of your bag done. Let's go do that. And there is your bag. Yep, it's now got a nice flat bottom to it. So we're going to set this aside and work on the lining. You're going to take your 2 pieces that were 7 inches, and as I mentioned, I went with a 6 inch. So we're going to see if I either cut myself short and the inside of my bag is not long enough, or if I've chosen right and am getting rid of some of the bagginess that I found in the bag when I made it the first time. And so this is your 7 by 10.5 inch piece, and then grab your top of your inside if you went with a stripe or something, and you're going to put those together, and you're going to have two of them, and you're doing right sides together. My green is a batik, so it is the same on both sides. So we're going to get those together, and then in this case I would probably just press towards the bottom to the bottom half of my lining, and we're going to do that. And then when we get that done, we're going to have two pieces like this. Then we're going to take them, put them right sides together, matching our top fabrics, and then you're going to stitch only the sides and the bottom, not the top, because we need to be able to fit the outside inside the lining to make all this work and flip it. You're also going to want to leave about, I found a 3-inch is kind of a nice size. Otherwise, if you get any much less than that, it's really a little bit of a struggle to get your bag flipped inside and out. So I would start here and go, well, start here and go here and stop or whatever, but mark it so you don't sew up the bottom. And then once again, back stitch here so that when you're flipping it in and out that you're not ripping out any of your stitching. Okay, so there we go. We're gonna get these two pieces sewn together and then those sewn together. Okay? And now we have the lining sewed up. And I actually did end up pressing one of the seams towards the top and the other towards the bottom, and that way when I laid them on top of each other they nested and I didn't have a lot of bulk. Or in this case you could press the seams completely open. Up to you on that one. Okay, so now we need to get corners on here kind of like we have on our inside, or I mean our outside. We're gonna put our corners together and stitch so we can get an angle there. Okay, this is another one where the original pattern said 1.5 inches down, and so I'm hedging here. I'm hedging. We are going to go 2 inches down. And if I discover that I'm off on this, we will update with text indicating a difference, or you can also I'll put it in the description of some edits. And when you request the template, I'll have those in there also. Okay, you're going to take each corner. This one's a little trickier than the other one because the other one kind of already had the corners whacked off, so to speak. So what you're going to do here is what I'm trying to do is kind of feel it so my seam on the top aligns with the seam on the bottom. So I'm kind of getting my angle here for that pocket, that square off. And then take your ruler, and as I said, I'm going down 2 inches from the top of this corner, and I'm marking a line, and then I'm going to use my seam kind of, okay, I think my seam's straighter on the top, and take that line, and I'm going to draw a line with my marker here, my chalk pencil. And that is where we're going to stitch on. We're going to stitch on that line and then, well, we're going to whack off the corner. And I'm going to stitch on this line and then flip it inside out and test it a bit before I cut off the corner in case I go, oh crap. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to pin that one. And you're going to go and do the exact same thing with your other. So I'm kind of getting in here, and it maybe could help if you press your side seams open. Yeah, you can kind of you can kind of feel there and line up that seam, okay? And we're gonna, you know what? This will work really good if I just do it like this. Yep, so I got my 2-inch here. I'm straight on my seam, so I should get a fairly straight line. And this does not need to be exact. This is your inside. Yep, this is your inside. Okay. And if you're going to do what I'm doing and fiddling a little and not cutting that off right away, it does mean you're going to end up flipping it inside out a few times to test things before you come back and cut that off. Okay, we're going to go do that and then start putting this together with this. We now have our lining. That kind of sits up flat. Okay, what I did after I stitched my corners was I took it to the ironing board and I pressed my seams kind of open, because what we're going to do is once this is flipped inside out, inside out, we're going to whip stitch this. So I find it's easier to press it open now. Okay. Normally, you know what? I'm going to do it. I think I'm solid with this. I really do. So what you're going to do now is cut off your corners. Okay. Making sure when you do this that you don't have anything underneath that you wouldn't want to cut off. Okay. I have faith that I'm not going to shortchange myself with this. Okay, now we're going to turn it inside out. Okay, so you can see we kind of have a square bottom. Oh yeah, I'm thinking this is going to give me a lot less bulk, less waste in the bottom. Now, you have your outside, and as you can see, the pretty stuff is on the inside. Now you're going to take your lining with the pretty stuff on the outside and put it inside. Right sides together. Shove that puppy in there. Then you're going to want to line up your side seams. That is all you need to do, is line up your side seams. And what I did when I did the corners down here of the outside, because it's so bulky there, I actually pressed that open. So you might want to do that at the top here, is press that seam open, or at least finger press it so when you put it together, it's not so bulky. And I think I'm going to use my little clips again. So I'm just getting my side lined up first. I'm going to do both sides. Make sure that is lined up nicely. Well, get my fingers around it. So once I have the two sides matched up, because that's where your seams are, and you want to make sure those are right, then just go around, and you might need to ease it in a little, because of course you quilted the outside, and when you quilt things, it does tighten it up. So just ease the lining in between your side seams, and then you're going to stitch 1/4 inch all the way around. And in this case, you're going to definitely want to back stitch when you start and stop. I'm not going to have you watch me put this all together here, so I'm going to get it pinned, secured, and take it to the sewing machine and get that done. And there we go. Now we're going to open it up, and using that little hole that we left in the bottom of our liner, we're going to flip it inside out. And what I've discovered is, yeah, how did I do this the last time that I got it fairly well? And this is why you'll understand that I said 3 inches. And yeah, if you just kind of pull it through this way. There we go. There we go. Be very gentle so you don't tear your seams. And then I think if you just kind of go from the other side and push it through a little. I did this a few minutes ago with another one, and I figured out kind of the right way. So I didn't get too much bulk through there all at once. Okay. Okay. I do not want to do another cut in my video and have Kevin have to edit, so we're just going to have you watch me do this. All right. Okay. There we go. So now you've got, when you get this done like this, this is what it's going to look like. You've got your outside, all nice and pretty, stitched to your lining, and your lining's now nice and pretty. And then you're going to, before you do anything else, you're going to shove this lining in here and make sure everything fits and you're happy with it. Okay, get those corners poked out. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, actually, I think I am much happier with this, having used a 6-inch piece, 6 by 10.5 versus a 7 by 10.5 inch piece. I don't have a lot of bulk, a lot of extra fabric that's sitting on the bottom. Now, the next thing you're going to do, if you're happy with that, is you're going to pop the lining out of the bottom and you're going to get some coordinating thread and you're going to whip stitch this seam. Now, if you're not all that particular, get some matching green thread or whatever color your lining is and just stitch 1/8 of an inch and stitch that closed, whichever you prefer. I'm going to go whip stitch that, and then I'm going to double check. I'm going to shove a Kleenex box in there and see if it fits well and that I really am not like having the lining too short so it's not sitting on the bottom. Worst case, I may go, maybe the next time I go a 6.5. But I know the 7 is too bulky, too much fabric at the bottom. Then, so what we're going to do is we're going to go press this top, press it so that you get your lining all inside, so you don't see any of your lining from the top of your bag. Get that all pressed, and then you're going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And then we's be done. I'm going to go do that, and I'm going to double check the width, the length of my lining and make sure I've still got it long enough, and I'm pretty confident I do. So I'm really pleased with that. Let's go see the finished piece in a minute. And look, we're done. Very cool, huh? Oh, is it in focus? Kind of, sort of. Okay, yes, I'm very pleased. I think I've got the right trim for the corners and the length. And I think, this works fine, but I think it's so adorable when, especially if you've got a striped or a pretty top lining, to fold that over. look at there. And I had a Kleenex box sitting here. It fits wonderfully. So there you have it. A nice, cute little bin that you can sit around the house. You can start putting Christmas cards in here. So a nice place, set it on your mantle, and then you can put your Christmas cards as you get them. Put a box of Kleenex in here to make it look festive and hidden. Use it as a gift bag for goodies. I have some pretty mean sweet and salty nuts and some toffee that my neighbors and friends like. Though, wow, that would be a lot to make and give to a lot of people. Maybe I need a smaller bag. Or a bottle of wine, just anything. A cute little gift bag that gives them something else besides what you're putting inside of it. So I hope this reaches you soon enough that you have time to maybe make some before the holidays. This is going to come out the week before Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving weekend, long weekend, great time to get some quilting in. Well, of course, it's also a long weekend for family. So you may be spending more time with family than quilting. So thank you so much for watching. Take care. And if you do want the template, you can email me, or eventually there will be a link below. So take care, and thank you so much for watching.